are talking live from San Francisco. Today, a father tells the story of why his short-statured daughter took her own life. Plus our fitness expert, Joni Gragan.
Welcome to People Are Talking. Oh, the 49ers are so wonderful. They've done it again. I just say that every month. I mean, it's getting to be like a habit. But they are wonderful, and they look spectacular, and now they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, now they're in the playoffs, and just one more step toward the Super Bowl,
Super
January 20th.
Bowl, and that's what they're going to play, and it's going to be terrific.
A little later in our... A little later in the program, our exercise expert, Joni Gragan, is going to be with us, doing exercises that we can do on Thanksgiving Day and the day after.
This is her classic tone-up for turkey.
Yes, get ready for it. Because we all eat too much on that day.
Oh, I know.
It's the time you eat, and then you just kind of lay down and go to sleep.
That's right. Well, this morning you're going to meet a father who is the father of a teenage daughter. A typical teenager in many respects. She loved clothes, she loved rock music, going to the beach. But on November 6th last year, she took her own life, and she left a note that said, "I just couldn't handle the life God gave me." Well, he feels the fact that his daughter Michelle was a short-statured person, she was just an inch above 4 feet tall, had a lot to do with it. And because of her death, he's come to terms with his own short-staturedness, and he's done a lot of soul-searching about how he could have been a better father and counselor to his daughter. And he's with us this morning to share some of those feelings. Would you welcome Richard Crandall?
Good morning, Richard. Thank you for coming to visit with us.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
There were a lot of reasons you thought in the beginning that Michelle took her life, but today, a little more than a year after the suicide, are you convinced it is because of her short stature?
I believe that was the primary reason, not 100% of the reason, but a good portion of the reason. To understand Michelle's story, you really have to understand my background and where I came from, and my attitudes. And for a lot of years, I did not want to accept my short stature. I was happy on the outside. Public, I was always bubbly, always up. When I was at home with my average parents, 3 average brothers, and my 1 average sister, I belittled them to make me feel good. So I was sad on the inside.
You had a lot of anger, too, didn't you?
A tremendous amount of anger, yes. Yes.
You say that Michelle carried your negativism. I mean, you taught her to be negative.
Well, there was a negative environment in the house. I sold electronics for 17 years. And as a salesman, I was successful. I was bubbly, I was outgoing, really positive. At home, I was negative, pointing fingers, blaming my former wife, blaming the children, blaming God, blaming my parents, blaming everyone for my situation.
So you excelled in the business world, but when you were home, you took out that anger again on everybody in your house, your wife and your 2 children.
Yes.
But Michelle was a short-statured person, but your son, Michael, was...
Is 5'9".
5'9", so he's average size, so that had to set up a series of conflicts as well between the 2 children.
Not only is there the typical sibling rivalry. This added to it. Michelle was very jealous of any affection or any attention that we gave Michael. And this added to it too, because she was not comfortable with herself, and I am at that time, I was not comfortable with myself. I did not like to see someone else be center stage.
You talked about your former wife, Marilyn.
Yes, ma'am.
How long has it been since you've been divorced?
3 years.
3 years. Did you get divorced because of what was going on in the household, the negative attitude?
Definitely.
Wasn't she pretty much just fed up with you?
She was fed up. I couldn't make a decision. I was drinking quite a bit at the time and using social drugs. nothing but socially acceptable drugs, of course. And, and she got fed up with it. And she kicked me out of the house. That's probably the number one best thing that's happened to me in a lot of years.
Now, was she a short-statured person as well?
Yes, Marilyn.
Yes, your first wife. Where did you meet her?
We met her through the organization called Little People of America. Little People of America is a self-help group primarily through social activities. They do workshops on leadership and education, job interview process. They have genetic counseling and this sort of thing.
Now, did you love your wife? I mean, was it just love at first sight when you met her?
It was probably more lust at first sight.
Oh. I
When you got
I
married,
was 24 years old at the time, and I went to the University of Hawaii 4 years without a date on campus.
see. That's tough.
That's tough. You know, we all have trouble dating. And I think some of the average-sized ladies looked at me as maybe a little brother or as maybe a companion, but not as a lover. And so I found that that did not help or add to my self-esteem. That made me feel less than, not a part of society as a whole.
let's talk about Michelle again. Did she have a lot of friends?
She had the same type of friendship basis as I did. A lot of acquaintances, but very, very few close friends. Her real one close friend moved away about 3 weeks or a month before she committed suicide. And this was noted in her diary, that she really was not close to anyone that she could really feel comfortable in confiding with.
And you, as a father, were very tough on her with her grades, were you not?
Yes, I expected a lot from her because, if she got good grades, that was a reflection on me. That made me feel good.
So, and you wanted her to excel, you wanted her to be super great and stuff, but what happened when she came home with, like, B's?
Oh, one night, I did something that I'm not very proud of. I kicked her out of the house.
She was like, what, 13 at the
13
time?
years old, and I kicked her out of the house. It was 2, 3 o'clock.
For what?
Because she didn't get the grades that I thought she...
Well, she had like a 3.5, and you wanted a 4.0?
Yeah, or something like that, yeah. Yeah, really ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have misgivings right away after that?
Oh, a lot of, you get excused to go drink for quite some time.
I see.
Yeah.
So that this was just kind of a vicious cycle. I mean, you weren't happy with yourself. You were making your children unhappy, or certainly Michelle with herself.
Right.
You were drinking to kind of forget about it.
Yes.
We're going to take a commercial break and come back. Let me point one thing out, because we're bringing a lot of things up here, and you may say, why are you trying to make this man feel guilty? This is the story that Richard has told us, and a lot of you telling this story is therapy to get over the death of your child, Michelle.
It's important for me to share my story. I may be able to help someone, either average size, or someone that's 6'7", or whatever. I just feel that it needs to be said, and these are my experiences, and they do not reflect any organization or anyone else's view. This is my story, and I wish to share this with you.
Okay, great. We'll take a commercial break. Be right back. Stay tuned.
See famous figures skating in ice capades. Scott Hamilton, 1984 Olympic gold medalist and 4-time world champion. The winner who never stops winning. Scott Hamilton, now in Ice Capades, where famous figures skate.
Ice Capades with world gold and Olympic bronze medalist Charlie Tickner and Baby Smurf at the Oakland Coliseum, November 20th through 25th. Charge tickets by phone 639-7700.
Sausages. Dogs in search of the ideal snack. Sausages.
What is that special treat?
Sausages. We know they love to snitch a snack. We know they love to sneak a sausage, so... Sausages. That's it. Sausage-style snacks. Sausages. Made with meat, a hearty taste, a healthy chew, and voila, the ideal snack. Sausages. But what will we call them? Sausages. Doggy snacks? Sausages. Little saucies? Sausages. Sausages. New kennel ration sausages? Scrumptious sausage-style snacks for dogs.
Enjoy tea dancing at the San Francisco Mark Hopkins Hotel, a benefit for the American Diabetes Association, Friday at 5:30.
Joining us now is Gracie Oliver, who is also short in stature and is a good friend of Richard's. Gracie, how have you helped Richard accept the death of Michelle?
Basically, just talking with him. And I had a brother who was average stature. I'm one of 6 children, and I'm the only short-statured individual. And my brother committed suicide in 1971. So it's almost like we had a little bit of a commonality in as much as I wasn't the father or the mother of a child that committed suicide, but I was a brother or sister. And so I could only relate to it in that respect. But you just talk about the death process, and you talk about the feelings of guilt, the feelings of anger, and then you have to go into the acceptance stages. So it all takes staging and or different phases that you go through in accepting it. And I just was a sounding board for him to talk with and to share some of his concerns. And a lot of people I know when you speak to them, they want to hurry up and give you advice instead of just being quiet and listening to what you have to say and just trying to touch base with their feelings. And that's all I did.
Now, Richard, I think I read in your material that about 3 months before Michelle took her own life, your communication with her had gotten a little bit better. It had improved.
Yes, it had, because at that time I had stopped drinking. And I started doing a lot of soul searching. And started going inside and praying and trying to come to grips with myself and my environment. And so I noticed, at that time, I noticed Michelle's self-image and her attitude and what she was attracting to herself. And I just started talking to her. And at one point, the night that she committed suicide, she said, I talked to her about an hour before she committed suicide. She said that, Daddy, I can't do it. It's too hard. And I said, but we'll go get professional. Because I had sought professional. And support groups and, networking with groups with similar type problems. And so I thought I could be some help to her. And
but that last phone call, she did say, I just can't do it anymore.
I just can't do it.
So you had kind of you probably didn't at that point think that she was going to take her life, but you knew that she was despondent.
Yes.
Did you?
I knew that she was very upset, but I didn't understand why. I was not living at home, so I saw her maybe once or twice a week, so I did not know what was going on all the time.
But after the suicide, you found out, I believe through her diary, that she had been planning to kill herself for a year.
For over a year, yes. And that she had written in her diary that if things don't change, I'm going to kill myself.
Gracie, growing up, did you ever have a feeling of being despondent because you were a short-statured person?
I felt for a long time that I was the only one. And a lot of little people do feel that way because you don't see, there's a lot of little people in the United States. I don't even know what the statistics are. They keep changing them on me. But there's over 100 different forms of short stature. So you just, in a small community, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, but a suburb of Detroit. And I went to a handicapped school system because I was small. And at the time, I didn't have any disabilities. I was just short. My disabilities have come along as I've matured in my skeleton. But despondency, I was withdrawn as a child in as much as I didn't know there were any other little people. And I didn't know what to do. But what happened in my life is my music came into the picture. And I started becoming, everyone needs to have something in their life that they feel good about. Regardless if you're little, tall, black, fat, whatever. You need to have something that you feel good about within yourself that you know you're good at and makes you feel confident. And that's what happened with my music.
A singer. You're a singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was real grateful that it kind of happened on me in a kind of bizarre way, but
How did it happen?
I just was singing all the time. And I sing, and I'd say to my mom, well, I don't understand why people need music. Because I'd hear something on the radio, and one song I used to love was, about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. So
I used to like that one.
That's a nice song. But then the Shriners came into the picture, and I started singing for their banquets and the Shrine Circus, and I went to the football game and sang for them in Indiana, and it just started going off, and I was just elated, and I said, there's something here. And it's not just because I'm of small stature, it's because I have something within me that needs to be expressed. So thank God I've got my music, so that I've got something that I do feel good about. And you get depressed. Everybody gets depressed. You have good days and bad days. And you just have to know that the good days are going to come again, even when you get kind of down. And that's about it.
I want to know how the two of you met, because you have been dating for a while.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
How
Are we going to gossip on it?
Yes, we're gonna get down to it.
Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, great.
Okay, I'll share with you if you share with me.
Well, unfortunately, we can't talk about this any longer.
I'm going to break for a commercial right now.
No, we're not. We want to know how you met.
Okay, I'm just teasing. We met, ironically enough, through Little People of America, and it was, can I be honest with them?
Be honest.
Okay.
Pour your heart out.
No, I'm not going to pour my heart out. Anyway, it was at a Christmas. We have like a Christmas banquet. It's very, very elegant, and we all get dressed up and everything. And we were there for dinner, and I was just sitting down, and we have a band, and dancing is very important, and usually I'll sing at that banquet. And I was kind of preparing myself whether or not I was going to sing and stuff like that, and he came over and asked me to dance. And I kind of went, okay. Now, I didn't know who he was. I honestly didn't. And so we danced. It was really nice. I said thank you. And sometimes, you know, I don't know how big people handle this, but with little people, you either hug or you shake a hand or you kiss. But see, I'm 2'10". And even on Richard, I come up to his tummy, okay? So even then, it's kind of hard, you know. You don't, especially if you're not familiar with one another, you still don't embrace, you don't hug or kiss. So I just went, okay, and he walked away, and I thought, it's kind of bizarre looking, you know, and I said, who is he? Honestly, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, you used the word bizarre. You said dorky.
I did say okay, well, it was dorky. I was trying to be tactful, okay? But anyway, I didn't know who he was, and he even took my number. And he didn't, well, you might have said who you were, but it didn't dawn on me, and he didn't impress me too much anyway, so it didn't matter. I'm sorry, that's really how it happened. So he took my number, and I really didn't hear from him, and he kept saying I wasn't home, and I'm usually not, because I'm out doing a whole bunch of things. And we finally touched base, and we just started talking on the phone, and I almost canceled the dinner date that we had. I was going to go see an orthopedic doctor in Oceanside. And Richard was kind of on the way, and I thought, hey, you know, free dinner, I might as well go. I mean, let's be honest here, guys. So, and then I don't know, I was in anytime I go to the orthopedist, I feel kind of bummed out, you know. He'll take an x-ray and go, oh my God, your bone's doing this now. How are you walking? And I like puzzling the medical world because I honestly don't know how I'm still walking, which indeed I already know why I'm still walking. My faith is keeping me going, and I know that, but you can't tell that to the medical people because they see tangible stuff. They see x-rays. But anyway, so I didn't go because I didn't want to get more depressed. I always know what my limits are. So I called up Richard. I says, I'm not going to the doctor, so I guess I won't be meeting you for dinner. And he goes, why don't you still come for dinner? And I thought, okay. So I went to dinner, and we had a wonderful time. And dun-da-da, that was it, you know?
Wow, what a cutie.
I think you were real lucky she decided to go to dinner with you. She brought a real positive attitude into your life. We can tell that. We'll take a commercial break and be right back with Gracie and Richard. Stay tuned.
10 years ago, I thought Tab was something you had to drink. You go on a diet, you go buy Tab, like it or not. But now Tab's got NutraSweet Blend. I know NutraSweet's everywhere, but in Tab, it tastes terrific. It's crisp, refreshing. It's really satisfying. If you haven't tasted new Tab, you gotta try it. Do, and you won't drink Tab because you have to. You'll drink Tab because you want to.
That fella from Indiana, Peter Eckridge, has come up with a bologna called Lean Supreme. Pretty fancy name, huh? Lean Supreme. But I tell you, lean sure describes it. More lean meat and 30% less fat than some other bologna, and taste that'd make an angel weep. In fact, it's supremely tasty. Say, guess old Peter Eckridge got a knack for names after all.
Less fat, great taste.
Lean Supreme. I don't want to upset you, Bessie, but I tried those cookies at the store that are like homemade. And there's one chocolate chip cookie that bears a strong resemblance to yours. Oh? Yours are crispy on the outside, moist and chewy on the inside, and loaded with chocolate chips. So is the one called Grandma's, but yours are still better. Why? Silly, yours are homemade, aren't they?
Grandma's rich and chewy brand chocolate chip cookies. You just can't get closer to homemade than Grandma's.
You call about your dryer?
Yes.
After all these years.
Well, let's have a look. Hey, I see you have a Maytag range.
Isn't it beautiful?
Of course, it's a Maytag.
And look, easy clean design makes cleanups a snap.
Of course, it's a Maytag.
And this baby is tough.
Of course, it's a Maytag. It's the story of my life.
Oh.
Maytag ranges. Nobody builds them like the dependability people.
Maytag range, only $3.99 at Martin's Appliance Fremont and Ace Appliance Santa Clara.
If you'd like to join us and be in our studio audience, call now for your free tickets. Our number is 478-KPIX. That's 478-KPIX.
Richard Crandall and Gracie Oliver are our guests this morning on People Are Talking. They are both short-statured people, and we heard in the first segment a sad story of Richard's daughter, who was also short-statured and took her own life. We're trying to kind of make some sense out of that and realize the plight of people who are short-statured. Let's talk a little bit about the terminology, because this is the first time I've heard short-staturedness as opposed to being a dwarf or a midget. Can you give me some differentiation between all of them?
Short-statured, I don't know when or where the term originated, but it seems to have a more pleasant tone to it than dwarf or a midget. Now, a lot of us in Little People of America, which is a support group, very active in the San Francisco area, in teen support, young adult support, very strong, and also a very strong parent group here in San Francisco. We've always referred to ourselves as little people. And so there's a number of terms that we use. And we're all individuals. So it's whatever individual really feels comfortable with.
You prefer short-statured or little people, but Gracie, could you give us the difference? Tell us the difference between a dwarf and a midget.
Okay, well, medically, I don't know how familiar you are with animal phylums in zoology, but you have one classification, then it breaks down in subclasses. Well, with dwarfism, it's under one medical classification, dwarfism. And you have disproportionate dwarfism and proportionate dwarfism. And the term midget came about by the proportionate dwarfism, by a person that would have proportionate physical attributes, like a pituitary dwarf is what they were. So it's like a person that I will say that you could throw them in a dryer and they shrunk because they don't have any real bone abnormality. Okay, but what they have is an endocrine disorder, either pituitary, thyroid, or any of the other disorders. And a disproportionate dwarf is one with a skeletal disorder, in as much as the trunk is a little bit shorter and the arms are shorter, and so you have a disproportionate there. But midget is a term that has been used over the years, and it's a slang term. And to a lot of little people, that is a social term. To a lot of little people, that is a derogatory term. So medically, it's dwarfism, or dwarf. Then you break down into the 100 different classifications, and then socially, we refer to ourselves as little people.
Mm-hmm. We have a geneticist, Dr. Bill Conti, in our audience this morning, and he can probably give us a little bit more. Is this hereditary?
The majority of the conditions that we've talked about are hereditary. They may occur as a so-called new mutation initially. It may be the first occurrence in a family. That is, normal statured people can have a child with...
As in Richard's case, he was the only short-statured person in his whole family.
Yes, this is presumably the result of one of two possibilities: either a new mutation in a gene that controls height, or both parents can input genes into their child that, essentially present in a double dose, one from each parent, will produce short stature, but in a single dose in the parent would result in a normal statured adult.
And there is no way to tell from if you are going to have a child of short stature.
There's no way really to identify who's at risk from looking at normal statured parents. Clearly, individuals who are short statured are likely to have short statured children.
What about growth hormones? We've heard so much about growth hormones. Are they helpful in any of these cases?
Well, they're helpful in certain types of the pituitary dwarfs that Gracie's talked about. Some of these people do have endocrine problems in which they have a deficiency of growth hormone, and the synthetic growth hormones, or that extracted from human pituitaries, can be useful in treatment if provided at an early stage. But this is a relatively small percentage of the individuals with short stature.
I want to interject too. Dwarfism is anyone that becomes pregnant. A lot of people think, oh, gosh, you know, could I actually give birth to a dwarf child? Well, having a dwarf child is not any more difficult because we have our mental capacities. We are small in stature, but we have our mental capacities. And as long as we get that support in knowing that we're good people and that we are capable of handling things in our lives, just to have that family support, friend support, we know that we can do it. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what are my chances of having a dwarf child? They're as great as having someone with spina bifida, you know, cerebral palsy, mongoloid. You've got all kinds of birth occurrences that happen. So in my opinion, and I realize that I am a dwarf, I think that dwarfism is the least problematic, or, you know, the least of your concerns. But yes, it is something that, wouldn't life be kind of dull and boring if we were all the same?
Absolutely.
We're going to take a couple of message breaks here. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Something incredible is about to happen. A ritual has been transformed. A time-honored recipe has changed. Roman meal takes old-fashioned ingredients and adds newfangled taste. Wheat and oats with raisins, dates, almonds. All natural, nothing artificial. The new hot cereals from Roman Meal. Old-fashioned goodness, newfangled taste. They're here to stay.
Get ready for the perfect chicken cutlet. A new plump and juicy chicken cutlet from Swanson. Shouldn't a cutlet be big? How about 3½ ounces big? Look at that crispy coating. Ah! Shouldn't it have big, juicy pieces of chicken inside? Come on, try another bite. Care for more? Well then, buy some. Introducing Plump and Juicy, a cutlet above the rest.
Chances are you've spent today doing things for other people.
So, honey, could you remember to pick up my suit?
Don't you deserve something for yourself?
Susan, would you come in here and take a letter, please?
Treat yourself to Mon Chéri, the fine chocolate Europeans treasure most. Mon Chéri, the treasure chest of delicate chocolate and hazelnuts.
Hey, my phone's ringing.
Discover Mon Chéri, the brand of fine chocolate Europeans treasure most. You deserve it.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Richard Crandall and Gracie Oliver are with us this morning on People Are Talking. They are short in stature, and we're talking about some of the positive and negative things they find in dealing with society and all of us. We also have Nicole Botello in our audience. Now, Nicole, you're going to Lowell High School. You're 15 years old, and you want to be an actress.
Right.
What problems, if any, do you find being short in stature?
Well, I don't find any problems at all, and personally, I think all these organizations kind of baloney. I mean, because I feel I go to school and I don't have any problems whatsoever, and that they should, when they, I don't know, I kind of get depressed when they talk about their organizations and stuff. I mean, they should go out and live, you know, the real world. And I'm having no trouble whatsoever, so I think they should try it.
Well, we gotta find the key to your secret there, and I think it may be with your mom, Yolanda. What did you do when raising Nicole so that she has such a positive outlook?
Well, she's got a strong personality, as you can see, and she speaks for herself. And I agree with Gracie as far as family support and having friends, and that's never been a problem. I have 2 children, and my husband and I have tried to instill in them an enthusiasm for life. You know, go for it, do the best you can, and try everything. You know, you only live once, and that's about it. And they've done the rest themselves, and I'm very proud of her.
Yolanda, I want to point out to you, to be in an organization doesn't mean that you're not living in the real world and that you're not adjusting.
That's not my opinion. That's hers.
Right, I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Nicole.
Nicole. But basically what we do, we get together and have a wonderful time. But there's a lot of questions that are on our minds medically, and we have to get together perhaps and talk about clothing problems and all kinds of stuff. And it's not a matter of, oh boy, isn't it a bummer that we're all short and we're all going to get depressed. We do live in the real world. And we have people that have all kinds of career occupations. We have engineers, CPAs, and basically we just share information between ourselves. We have big people too. We don't discriminate by any means. But because we're in an organization does not mean that we're not living in the real world, because we do too.
I just feel comfortable. I discuss all this with my friends. I'm very open. And if I ever wanted advice, I'd ask my mom. So I just don't feel, I guess for me, I don't need it.
Better.
Yeah.
I understand.
And you're going to be an actress.
Yes, definitely.
That's what you want to be more than anything.
Yeah, I'm working on a play at school, too. Damn Yankees.
Oh, it's a wonderful.
Yeah, you should go see it.
Sure, you come on here and try to sell tickets.
That number to call.
Comment.
Yes, I'm a mother of 2 dwarf boys. We have 4 children and 2 of our sons. And of course, the first one, they say this will never happen again because it is very rare to have more than one. But our particular type, one of those 100 types, does repeat. And we just have 2. I mean, out of our 4, we could have had 4 or 3. We've belonged with to Little People of America since our oldest, who is now 23, was 2 years old. And we've drug him off to all of the meetings, and for Harriet and her husband Al were great support to us as parents, because we could see that their expectancy of what they could do in life was like an average person. I didn't have to worry about, you know, how are they going to reach the bathroom, and what are they going to do this? All this stuff that works out. I mean, I agree with Nicole that everything does kind of work out, but you don't know that. Most of us project into the future of problems. And our oldest son was probably 18 before he went. We had taken him to conventions, but he wasn't real interested. And when he was 18, I said, I think that it's about time for you to go. So he drug his feet, took his average-sized friend who's about 6'3", and he says, I'm going to lay in the pool and catch the rays, and that's it, you know. Well, it wasn't about 8 hours later, I got an emergency phone call, wire some money, you know, I got to buy a tie for the banquet. And he said it was such an exciting thing for him to be around eye to eye. He says, I'm so tired of looking at people's bottoms. And that's true in any social thing. And he said, this is fantastic. He said, everyone's eye level. And so even if it's just once a year at a convention, and he does go to other things also, but to be around people who are the same size just for conversation.
Eye contact.
Yeah,
eye contact.
We have a coming out. It's the process of accepting oneself. If you can accept another little person, or whatever the disability or the difference may be, if you can accept that in another person, it's easier to accept that in yourself.
And it helps you to grow one more.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to accept a commercial break here, too, or we'll be in real trouble. We'll be back after this. Stay tuned.
At 39, I was overweight and tired of it. I had to make a choice, go on yet another diet or get serious about losing weight. I got serious. I chose Nutrisystem. They put me on a total weight loss program. They taught me how to eat sensibly and deliciously with new system cuisine, exclusive at Nutrisystem. I lost all the weight I wanted to and learned how to keep it off.
Save 1/2 off. 3 days only. Call now.
Here at the Silas Thorndike Academy, our boys display exemplary behavior. Occasionally, we do have an outbreak of high-spiritedness. When these little mishaps occur, we rely on Brawny.
Brawny!
It's the largest towel you can buy. It's economical and can handle even the toughest jobs. Thanks ever so much, Brawny.
Anytime, Teach. Brawny, the big tough towel without the giant price.
Cousins Furniture has been sold. I repeat, control of Cousins Furniture has been sold. New management has ordered all inventory sold at clear-out prices at all Cousins locations. Living rooms, dining rooms, dinettes, bedrooms, bedding. Clear-out prices on everything. Hurry, some quantities are limited. Control of Cousins Furniture has been sold. Hurry and shop today for clear-out prices on everything at all 14 Bay Area Cousins locations.
You don't have to be a grown-up to be a United Way volunteer. I became one at a Special Friends Girl Scout camp that you support. There, I was matched with my buddy, Christina. We went swimming and hiking, and we played games. And she taught me to see the world in a whole different way. That's because she can't see very well at all. We don't know you, but we love you.
If you'd like to join us and be in our studio audience, call now for your free tickets. Our number is 478-KPIX. That's 478-KPIX.
To create a wholly successful relationship, all channels of energy and communication must be open. Releasing past hurt and resentment opens the way to creating exactly what we really want, love and intimacy that truly supports the best for each of us. Singles as well as couples are invited to join us in learning to listen effectively, express our needs, and problem solve creatively. Join us at Pathways Reunion on Saturday, December 1st from 10 to 6. Call 938-7444 to register.
We're talking about people of short stature this morning, but they are tall in many, many respects. Harriet Stickney is in our audience. She has been a guest along with her husband, Alan. People are talking on several occasions. You were talking about a teen support group that you had. It seems to me, in light of the situation that Richard had where his daughter took her life in her teen years, that that's a real important thing.
Extremely important. We have had a parents group going since 1968 in the Bay Area, and we have worked with the parents. Many parents, when they are first faced with the birth of a dwarf child, need a support group out there to say, look, that kid is not that different. It's going to be just like everybody else in his desires, his needs, his wants. It's just going to be that he's short. He's going to need some help, and he's going to need your support. But he needs your support to make him as independent as possible. And this is one of the things. Do not help them if they can possibly, what we call it, it's the stool philosophy. Take your stool and get it out of somebody else's way before they trip over it. And this type of thing. And we work with parents who often have a lot of things to work through. They've got, it's almost like losing a child because the child is going to be so different. It's the grief process, the adjustment process, and then they call about the time the child gets to 2 and they say, this kid is getting to as many problems as my other 2-year-olds did, except that I didn't think they would, and I'm not ready for this. You know, they're climbing and they're doing everything else. Then about 8 or 9, when they enter school, they need our group too. The parents, up to this point. And the parents, anytime there's a major change, like entering school or something, the parents need us. Suddenly, often as they're going into the teens, the kids need us. Yeah. And we have had children, pigs, who have gone through this, where they would come, or their average-sized brother comes to meetings, the kids don't come because they're on their own thing, they're doing their own, which is fine. But when they need us, they're there. And after Michelle's suicide, the group up here called us and said, we got to talk about this. And a number of the teens got together and said, you know, we'd feel awful if any of our teen members did this, and we didn't do what we could do. And I said, all we have to do is remember, each one of you are short, and because you're short, you're in the group. You may not like somebody, you may be upset with somebody, but that's tough. We're all in this together. The only thing we have is the fact that we're short. We come from all sorts of backgrounds, all kind of attitudes, and we've got to learn how to get together. And up here, they include everybody. They get on the, heaven help, their mothers call and say, when are you going to start footing their phone bills? Because they call all over the Bay Area to get people to go skiing. They're going to have a ski weekend.
Well, Harry, isn't it true with Little People of America, we stress that we are of short stature. We live in two worlds.
Right, absolutely,
we live in the short-statured world, and we live in the tall world. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I can make my apartment accessible and comfortable for myself. I adjust my furniture for my tall-statured friends, but I have to be comfortable and I have to survive.
Are things
so I do both.
changing out there? Is society's recognizing it somewhat, I think, because I see, like, pay telephones.
Yes.
They'll have a normal-sized pay telephone, and they'll have a lower phone. Is that correct, Harry?
This goes along with what Richard was saying. I think it has taken us a number of years to realize, but we have to realize that the short-statured person is handicapped.
We're limited.
I cannot use everything that everybody else can.
Correct.
For years, I think this was my favorite story when I've been on the program. I had the best-kept bangs in captivity because no public restroom could I look into the mirror. Now they bring down the mirror for the wheelchair person. When they bring it down for the wheelchair person, they bring it down for us. Of course, for Gracie, you've got to take it and still put it further. And so we are now, and Al and I have been active in the California Association for the Physically Handicapped. In October, we had a booth at the Independent Living Exposition. The Los Angeles group is going to do the same.
Yes.
We are getting out there for advocacy and saying, look, if we all get together, we'll have the same.
We're all here to share information and to learn from one another. And that's
the primary asset of any group, is networking and assisting and cooperating with other groups and other people.
Yes. Becky, you had an interesting question.
Yes, I did. I've heard about the Old Boy Network. Now I'm listening to the Little People Network. But what I'm interested in is clothing, because I border on being a little people.
Yeah.
And is there a special place that you buy clothes, or what?
Well, not necessarily. A lot of us kind of have to do our own thing and perhaps find a certain store, and for instance, I can buy a blouse sometimes and wear it as a dress, so I kind of save in that regard. But they say, well, can't you fit into children's clothing? Well, we're, for instance, as a gender of a woman, I don't have childlike characteristics. I have women characteristics, so therefore I can't very well fit into some children's clothing. Shoes are a real big problem. These shoes don't fit. I mean, I stuff them with tissue, and so therefore I can't wear some beautiful open-toed shoes like a lot of the ladies, and you just make allowances. You do what's comfortable for yourself, and you talk to a seamstress, and for the gentlemen, a lot of them have to have tailoring done, so it's expensive.
Tailor-made suits are extremely expensive.
And what I wish, one of these days, maybe in heaven it's going to happen, is to go into a store and actually find something on the rack and be able to wear it that night. I wish.
John, you had a question.
Oh, yes, I was wondering about medication, whether or not you would take a full dosage of whatever it is you would be taking.
Like an adult dose of medication.
Sure, no, we cannot take the standard adult dosage, so we have to gear down our dosages on NyQuil, any kind of medication.
I play pharmacist a lot because I have arthritis, and they can only give you so much of Motrin. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Motrin. A lot of the ladies know perhaps what I'm speaking about, but it only comes in 300 milligrams. That's a hefty tablet. I weigh 65 pounds, so I have to cut it in quarters. So I sit there, I look like I'm a little pharmacist, between that and my muscle relaxer. So yes, it's a pertinent question, and a lot of doctors, before they have to do any amount of extensive surgery, are very wary about how much anesthesia to use, because we are small. And another thing, we're small as children, but our processes inside are metabolic things. We need, like, sometimes I do have to take 2 aspirin, but I shouldn't. But my, the tolerance gets built up because you're taking the medication, but we do have to be very careful. And you can get toxins in the system because you overdose.
Rachel, you had a question.
I'd be interested in your experience with the job market and the reaction of employers.
When after I graduated from college, University of Hawaii, in 1964, I was unemployed for a year, trying to get a job. And I know Gracie has had trouble. When I was in sales, I used to go to the personnel department and ask them if they'd give me a job application. just to see if they give me a job application. A lot of times, they would not give me a job application.
So you find a lot of discrimination.
You have to be very assertive, too. You have to know what your qualifications are, and you have to try not to let them dissuade you, because there is job discrimination out there. And they often think small stature, small in mind. And you really, it's almost like we have a double duty when we have to go in there for that interview, because we have to put them at ease with our stature, and we have to also point out to them our qualities of applying for that particular job. Now, certainly we wouldn't apply for telephone repair person, you know, climbing up the pole. We have to be realistic in what we're applying for. So,
we should point out, again, that you're a singer. You're from Southern California, but last night you sang at the Dock in Tiburon.
Yay.
And you're going to possibly be doing that again in a couple of months.
In a couple months,
huh?
I'll be back up to perform there again.
Now, we can't mention the Dock in Tiburon on
We didn't
television
mention
and
it.
all, but just in case you wanted to call and find out when Gracie would be there again. There are two organizations that we want to give you the numbers of. One is Little People of America. It is the national headquarters, Post Office Box 633 in San Bruno, 94066. Now, the organization Short Stature Foundation, which Richard founded, is Post Office Box 11416, Costa Mesa, California, 92627. Richard, Gracie, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you very
folks,
much.
thank you for coming down. Harriet, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Our exercise expert, Joni Greggins, is next.
Oh,
Stay
right.
tuned.